Shut up.
You've done it every fucking time.
So, welcome all to the Boys From Ilos podcast, episode 3. Why the fuck does it still say episode 2? I need to edit the streams again. I didn't.
Oh, God.
Oh my
Fuck. You fucked us, Twitch. You fucked us. And not in the good way.
Well, that one, Chief.
We're not gonna talk, or hopefully not gonna talk about too much of a depressing shit anymore.
Why are we at the fucking 4-minute countdown, too?
Once I'm trying to get everything set up. Anyways,
God.
Welcome all to the Boys From Ilos podcast with the correct title now. Apparently, Mr. Griffin has some topics for us.
Did you call me Gruffin?
I said Mr. Griffin.
I don't think you did. No, so I want to start with something very simple. All right, and yeah, I'm gonna do it in my usual way. All right, it's a bit long-winded, but just stick with me. All right. So, how many of you remember the movie Bernie by Jack Black?
Nope. Never even heard of it, I don't think.
Nope.
Okay, how many of you heard of the man Bernie Tita?
Nope.
Or however you pronounce his last name.
Nope.
Okay. So, the movie is based on a real story, in which Jack Black plays a man named Bernie Tita, and he's a mortician in Texas, if I remember correctly, Austin, Texas, near about there. I can't remember the exact location. And the whole crux of it is Bernie is just the nicest fucking person on earth. You know, very, very good-hearted, nice old church-going man. Very, very enthusiastic about his morticianing job, but he's very good at it. And you know, they start talking about how, and you know, he has this real fondness for the old ladies who, you know, lose their husband, and he's always checking on them and everything. And like, and it seemed a bit weird at first, but nah, you know, we figured he was just being nice and friendly. And eventually, they get to where, you know, there was this one old woman that was, you know, not really putting up with it, and you know, trying to tell him to get lost, and he kept at it. And eventually became real good friends. Eventually they sort of became like, you know, it kind of with that thing a lot of old people do where they're not, you know, in a relationship, they're not lovers or anything, but like they're partners. You know, you'll see it a lot in retirement homes where, you know, an old man or an old woman just like they spend a lot of time together. Us young folk would refer to it as friends, but they're kind of weird about it. Anyways,
it's my girlfriend.
She has a lot of money, being an old woman, and you know, she takes him into like the lap of luxury and all that. And eventually, as the movie shows it, at least from his point of view, whether it's true or not, I'm not really talking about that, is that eventually she becomes more controlling. She starts, you know, controlling his life a bit more. She becomes very mean and rude with him. And then one night,
oh shit,
he dissociates and just sort of snaps and shoots her 5 times in the back with a rifle. And then, snapping out of the state, sees it, and is like, oh, fuck, I don't know what to do, and shoves her body in a freezer. Because it's like the best thing that he can supposedly think of to give her a proper burial. And then he goes on and sort of keeps lying about it and deflecting, and then using the rest of her money to, you know, contribute to a bunch of these causes and things like that. Eventually, obviously, it gets found out. They go to trial, blah, blah, blah. And the main crux of it comes down to, well, a lot of the townsfolk really like Bernie. And, you know, they think he's a real great guy. Oh, he could never do that. But then it goes further with a lot of them saying, well, even if he did, he's just such a nice guy. You know, you can't put him away for that long. He probably, there was some sort of misunderstanding or blah, blah, blah. And that's what I really want to broach is, at what point does someone who, you know, you can objectively say is morally good, is just a very pure person, but they've done one thing, one just terrible fucking thing. Where do the lines draw? Where do they stand? What takes you past that point to where that bad thing you've done just wipes out all of it?
I mean, it depends on the context of it too, right?
Of course.
It's like my question.
The correct answer to anything is that depends on context.
It's like my question to, you know, just put it in the light that I know. Jason Knight in the killer in Criminal Minds. Would you say that he is responsible for the shit he does in that?
See, that's the thing.
Because like
It depends.
because he literally because like, okay, so for those of you who don't know, in the show Criminal Minds, Jason Knight is one of the serial killers who goes through a traumatic experience and has a psychotic break. And the traumatic experience is a group of gang members come and on the night that he's proposing to his girlfriend, nearly kill him and rape and kill his girlfriend right in front of him.
Just found out was pregnant.
Yeah, who was pregnant at the time, right? So just objectively a horrible fucking thing to happen to the guy, and as a result, he ends up fucking snapping and going on a set of spree killings where he doesn't kill. Arguably, he doesn't kill innocent people. He only targets members of the gang who wronged him. So like, it's one of those moments where it's like, is he like, because he doesn't have control. He doesn't even know that he's doing it when he does it. Like at the end, he doesn't even realize that he's the one who's been killing these people. He's not mentally there. So it's like, again, in the same situation, like, is this a situation where this bad thing now damns him for the rest of his life when he didn't have complete control? Right?
Yeah. And I mean, that's even a little bit different in the sense of that, and that even goes into the fucking case of at what point does someone's life effectively become forfeit in that moral reasoning?
Yeah.
Because you can argue that, in their case, I mean, they're basically just fucking scum of the earth and have killed someone, so their life is basically forfeit, which, I mean, I personally go on the side of when you have taken someone's life, you've effectively crossed that boundary of whether or not yours is up for debate. As a baseline, of course, more context is necessary, and it doesn't just go right off that. But once you hit that point, it's now an option on the table.
Yeah.
Granted, that applies more to fucking actual murders and fucking like self-defense cases and shit like that. But no, in a case like his,
we're not going to get into because I don't want to be
have
canceled.
Control of it, and it's happening, and he doesn't fucking know. How can you hold him accountable? And if I remember correctly, at the end of it, I don't think he ends up going to jail. He goes.
Yeah, he goes. Yeah, which like is it like some people would be answer that question with oh well, there's always the insanity play, but it's also that thing of is it like it doesn't outside of this is also like all outside of legal talk, outside of what the law says, what society is just like morally what he did wrong. And like, I guess from a sense, like morally, yeah, killing is wrong. But is the overall action immoral if he didn't have control over it?
Yeah. And
I mean,
go ahead.
At that point, I would say it's something. It's one of those. It's a very odd line to try and teeter because we're like you can understand where he's coming from, and like it's one of those things where you could probably relate to that if that were to happen to you. But like at the end of the day, you also have to like put like law and like the justice itself kind of into play there and be like look, either way it's wrong, and if he's not mentally able to control himself during these moments, then maybe he needs more help than just being thrown in jail. Maybe he needs a second chance or some sort of rehabilitation because he's still a human.
Griffin, can you see the chat right now?
That scares me.
What's going on in chat?
I don't. That's such a specific character. Oh no, it's a reference to the. Oh
yeah,
I get it now. Oh, it's Mav. Oh, you piece of shit. How are you?
Don't you dare bring that fucking name here. Don't you dare bring that name here.
Oh, Malice.
Malice, no!
That's a great point to bring to this then. Is Valis justified? Should he have been prosecuted to the full extent of the law, ignoring Theron's justice system?
Well, I mean, in that case, like, is that like, okay, again, bringing it back to Criminal Minds, hey, we didn't fuck up. Okay. We didn't. No,
Kid.
no. We didn't fuck up. Fucking up implies we had the brain power to figure out the right thing to do. I'm not saying we did something bad. I'm just saying we're dumbasses. Yes, I know, Mav. I know that you did better. We have heard how both groups did fucking better.
To be fair, at least you didn't have a fucking breakdown like Zach did over fucking Valis dying.
And okay,
Soda heart.
and in my defense for my actions in that situation, this is not long after I had killed a kid by accident, and Corgan was feeling fucked up about it, so he wasn't thinking right.
Person to talk about morals with, because you should know. I mean, how do you feel after killing those kids, Jacob?
Okay, Corgan is tore the fuck up about that. He's not.
Yeah?
You're not gonna know
I
it.
don't know why they're asshole kids.
They're still children.
No, they weren't. They were teenagers.
They're still teens, and Corgan isn't a fucking murder hobo.
No. Think about it this way. It's kind of like they were the outsiders. What did you think when Dally died? It's the same situation.
Who is your pony boy, Jacob?
What the fuck are you talking about?
You know outsiders?
No, because I wasn't in the same school system during that time. While y'all motherfuckers were reading The Outsiders, I was reading, what was it? Left to Tell. All right.
Everyone knows The Outsiders. What?
I never watched or read it.
What the?
Moving back to the topic.
Moving back to the topic. Fuck you,
No,
Mav.
so
First of all,
I-
fuck you, Mav.
You're just mad that Redbot could beat Corgan in a 1v1.
Aren't they also higher level than us?
But like one, I think. Or maybe. No, I think it's only one. I don't know. Fuck it. You think I keep track of that shit?
You are the DM.
Listen, that's not my job. I don't have the fucking levels.
Oh no. I guess I'll just fucking say it. In the case of what Valis was doing, he was 100% not in control of his actions. The only thing that really tinkers it a bit is that his mentals were technically there, but he couldn't control what he was doing. So some of his thinking was in the process. It's like the reason he was only targeting fucking people who were healthy and specifically who weren't drinkers was because of the shit with his father. And to him, again, it's hard to explain because I wasn't supposed to end up ever explaining it, but his whole thing was like, okay, well, I can send these pure people to a better place. If I'm gonna have to kill anyone, his mind's gonna sort of work overdrive, his morality's gonna take over, and it's only gonna target them. And it's not necessarily a good thing by general morality standards, but it's what was going through him. But even then, he's not doing it. Whatever's controlling him is doing it. It's making it happen. Yeah. That's where the line draws. If you genuinely are not in control, then you could argue that in a case like his and like how he felt, death would be the most acceptable outcome.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think with that whole situation, this D&D thing, I should have I was like, all right, we're gonna go in there and we're gonna talk this kid down. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't give any thought into how we were gonna talk this kid down.
Yeah, you took no time to think, oh, what's he probably feeling right now? After you all scared the fuck out of him.
We were just like, no, don't do it.
Yeah, tell this young elf who is clearly on a fucking suicidal edge right now, you have so much to live for. So many people love you. My whole family's dead. What are you talking about?
We love you, Valis.
You don't know me.
Why would you fucking tell him that? Anyways, back onto the discussion. I mean, like, it's definitely a hard question, and it's one of those things where it's like, if it is provable that this was not their intention, they did not want this, they were, controlled by something else, be it a mental break, a psychotic episode, whatever, just fucking snapping and going psychotic for a night. Like, it's one of those situations where it's like, yeah, you did something wrong, and you you shouldn't get off completely scot free, but you should have something happen to you to be like, hey, look, you fucked up. This was a bad thing you did, but not
Yeah.
like full extent of the law.
And I should clarify, in the real life case of Bernie Tita, in which actually does quite closely um, follow the movie, it's actually, from what I could tell from my minimal research, is fairly accurate. Um, he did end up getting convicted guilty and being sentenced to life in prison, uh, and he has multiple times gone for like tried to go for parole and like shit like that and been just like flat out denied. Um, which, I mean, if we were to just to, because a lot of this is going to come down to context. So let's establish the context. Let's just give it a flat case. Let's say that in this situation, all right, he is exactly as it is told. He is just the nicest fucking guy. Doesn't seem like he would ever hurt a fucking fly. And he gets in this relationship for pure reasons and it ends up going bad, and at some point he just fucking snaps. He doesn't even understand what's happening. He just fucking comes back and there's a gun in his hand and the person that he's been with is dead. And in his panic he thinks, fuck, hides him in the freezer because he thinks that's the closest thing I can give him to a proper rest without things getting too weird. And as I would say is reasonable to expect, like most people, does not know what to do and probably doesn't think logically and think, fuck it, just go to the police. And then afterwards, he takes her funds that were at that time, if I believe correctly, if I remember correctly, rightfully given to him. I believe that was established before she even died. Um, and uses it for, just means, for charities, things like that, that she would have supported. Then in that case, if we were to say that it is all true and he genuinely did not have control, and it doesn't seem like he would ever recommit this offense and it was really just a spur of the moment thing, how do you rule on that? Yeah.
I mean, it's still a wrong thing, no matter like the background behind it. So I guess it's one of the personally. I guess if I were like in those shoes and like had to like make a choice, either way, I would feel like he obviously deserves some sort of action against him. For one, because it's the right thing to do, because he still did technically do something, even if he won't do it again. So, but at the same time, not being mentally healthy, I feel like if anything, part of his sentence should be used for rehab and getting him into a mental mindset. And then I think at that point he should either be put back on trial or just have him go behind bars for X amount of time, to at least give the families of the lost person, like the person who died, some sort of like solace.
So let me add another bit of context as well, because I didn't mention it before, but I genuinely did just forget about it. Is another one of the uh, bigger linchpins to the case was that the children of this woman were very upset at Bernie because they felt like he had just sort of, taken her out of their lives and swindled her of her money when, by even their own accounts, they genuinely were not close to her. And by the woman's accounts, at least up until that time, they weren't close to her.
Yeah.
So does that add any difference to it if it's a case of, are these people even really making this claim in good faith? How much of their justice that they
you would
want
have to
is for their dead mother, or how much of it is really for an inheritance that they feel they've been cheated from?
So you would have to catch them in a lie or something that proves that. That's what they would have to do to get that. But so I want to know you guys' stance